everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And we are back to Vincent Price Week. We are going to finish it soon. And we decided that in lieu of canceling our review of Tomb of Ligeia, we decided to finish off the week, which has been extended into like two, with two of the Dr. Phibes movies instead of just one. And the first one we're going to do right now, and it is called The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and it premiered in 1971. And a few other main stars in this movie are Joseph Cotton, he plays Dr. Vesalius, and Virginia North is Dr. Phibes' assistant, Vulnavia, or Vunavia, I don't know which one.
Vulnavia?
Who has absolutely no speaking lines in the movie. And Peter Jeffrey as Inspector Trout. These are the people who have the biggest parts, even though the one who doesn't even have a line, she has a major role in the movie, so it's kind of strange. She never speaks a word.
She's probably just there because, yeah, I don't know.
Well, she's like a model. She wears really beautiful, modeling designer clothing. And,
well, that's what she said.
Well, she does, though.
I looked up the actress, and the actress said that probably the reason she got hired instead of a guy to be the assistant to get hired is because she's pretty. And
yeah.
So it's like they're so pretty to look at.
But another thing, too, is, when we get into the story just a little bit, his former wife, Victoria, now this is in the movie, this isn't in real life, she looks like him. In fact, I thought, and I'll go on a little bit more about this, I thought that was his daughter. And, but in the movie, they're not married. He was married to her, but they didn't have children. So that's not his daughter. So I'll go on a little bit more about that, but so really, those are the main characters in this whole movie. So it's listed as a British comedy horror. It came out in 1971. I thought when it said comedy, to me, I thought that was weird because I don't think it's funny, or scary. And I guess the best word I would describe what happens would be in the end, and that would be tense. Very tense.
Maybe it's supposed to be funny just because of how, like, outrageous it is. Like how...
Well, that's true. It is outrageous.
Over the top it is. I think that's the only reason that, like, they would consider... Because I don't really... Maybe it's also because of, like, the people dying. Like, the people, like, they're... It's such, a goofy way. Like, they'll die and then they'll... It's like, oh, this person got killed because of bugs crawled all over him and like stuff like that. Like it's really goofy
and
in ways like that.
It's really it's if you just heard, which you will because I doubt very many of you've seen these lately, but it is very popular. And it has good reviews. I mean, because it's not a bad movie. It just I'll say what I think in the end, but the thing is, in modern day time, there was a grim episode that featured somebody killed by rats. But that was more of an impromptu murder. These are all carefully calculated murders. And also, it made me think of Hannibal, which those are very calculated, planned, perfect. But those are like elaborate art displays of bodies and body parts and things done to bodies. This was not like that at all. It was the actual, well, I'll go into that, murder. The murder itself was the art project. And so anyway, the basic premise of the story is Dr. Phibes is a famous organist whose wife suffers a car wreck and dies on the operating table. And I guess as he rushes to her side, he supposedly dies in a fiery car wreck. And there's so much fire and explosion, nobody thinks he survived. Well, spoiler alert, he didn't die. And he's out for revenge for his wife's death. Revenge on whom? The medical team of 8 doctors and 1 nurse who operated unsuccessfully on his wife. Dr. Phibes is all about perfection, and I mean, he has it down to nearly the last second of how long Victoria, his wife, was on the operating table. That fact is really important at the end. And the manner in which each person dies has been perfectly planned and orchestrated and calculated according to the 10 plagues of Egypt. Because not only is Dr. Phibes an excellent musician, he's a skilled theologist. We get to see each murder carried out, and some of them include, like I said, rats and locusts. His willing accomplice to the killings are Volnavia, the girl with the no lines and the beautiful clothes, and like I said, it compared to like Hannibal, the modern Hannibal, the series that was on TV, where he also planned his kills. He was looking more like it was an art project, like a humongous living, well, dead art project of bodies and body parts and how they're displayed. But for this one, this movie, which, you know, it came out in 1971, so this is a different whole thing. It's about the killing, and it also, I mean, I'm not talking about the killing, the actual, or they get locusts and they pour some kind of substance on this woman through the ceiling. I mean, it's all perfect. Everything's perfect, and the stuff comes down and goes all over face, and then he shakes out these locusts through the ceiling, and then they go on her face, and then when they find her, her face is all eaten up.
That's probably the best kill because of the way that they shot it. They have like shots with like the tube and the locust going through the tube, and that looked really cool. And they had he uses this giant poster of like a woman and to like pinpoint where her head is, and that was really cool. That kill was very good. It was very artistic.
Yeah, but it's just the manner of we see the kill in action. It's not like somebody getting shot, or, which is terrible to say right now, but I mean just like these immediate things on TV with stabbings and something's happening, kaboom, and it's over. This is like most of them are like a slow process, and you see it done, and you see Dr. Phibes and the assistant, and they're just looking with like no emotion at all, because in the movie Dr. Phibes, like I said, he supposedly died in a fiery crash. Well, yes, it was fiery because his whole face got burned off, and he wears a mask, and he wasn't able to speak. And so one of the questions, and you just let it go because it's a movie, is how is he speaking? He told one of his victims, potential victims, that he developed a way for him to talk. He did himself. It's like his own invention. And so when you look at him, he's talking through the mask, this mask he has on, or this voice is coming out. His lips don't move or anything. And why do I mention that? I don't know. But so she's just always has this really doesn't show much emotion in her face either. So they're just like off the background. They're watching the kill, and
And that's the whole movie.
that's it, yeah, that's what it is basically.
It's just kill, 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 kill,
Right.
kill.
He
And the
ticks
end.
it off after each one. He has this amulet with an Egyptian symbol representing each curse or whatever it is, kill / curse, and you see that, and then you see a head, a wax head or something, and it catches on fire after each one is done. So anyway, go ahead, Marco. What do you have to say about it before we give our review, our opinion?
Well, I thought the movie was very boring, and that it's not a surprise. I mean, as soon as I started watching it, I remembered as a kid renting it from the library and just thinking, God, this is boring. and I would always watch the second one. But the thing is well, I won't talk about the second one, but let's just say, I was wrong about that too. So, I don't know. I think that this movie is pretty overrated, I would say, because a lot of people talk about it a lot. They talk about like Vincent Price's best movies, and they mention this one. And to me, this is like one of the most basic, boring movies out of his whole list. I mean, this movie is more. No, I would say it's better than House of Wax, and it's better than Shock. I almost forgot the name of that boring movie. The problem was it was so repetitive. As we said, it's just kill, 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 and then the end. And the whole movie, you're kind of wondering, like, is he ever gonna talk? Like, he hardly even talks at all until the very end of the movie, where he talks for like 20 minutes. And to me, I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses, is because Vincent Price's iconic voice is wasted in this movie. Like, you could use the excuse of like blah 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 blah, he can't talk, blah 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 blah, but then at the end he's like talking up a fucking storm. He's talking like just talking. And so there's no excuse for that. Even if you did say that he couldn't talk, well, you could do a peeping Tom type of thing where he plays recordings of his voice before the bad stuff happened. And so we could be listening to his voice before he became the abominable Dr. Phibes. And I think that would have been cool too, because that would have shown like a contrast to where he is now, to contrast like his character. And like another thing is the whole robot stuff. We haven't even talked about that. The fact that he has a whole robot band that he magically conducts. Because the thing is, you said that they just do that automatically. Well, if they do that automatically, then why does he need to stand there and pretend that he's conducting them?
Because he's insane.
It just doesn't work for me. The way that he was doing it, it seemed like he was doing it in a meticulous way where he was just, like, it didn't seem like an insane thing to be doing. It seemed like something normal. And then he's playing the organ a million times.
Well, he's an organist.
Who cares? Why does he have to do that?
I don't know. I didn't like that either.
Why isn't he
talk about it?
I didn't even like that music. I hate organ music. And so he's spending all this time playing the organ, conducting this robot band, when he's supposed to be taking revenge on his wife. So I thought that was kind of queer. And how he's able, because they said he's an organist, how is he able to build this robot stuff? How is he I mean, the stuff that he builds, like, especially at the end, when you see the thing at the end where he has that, spoiler, that giant tomb and everything, wait until you see why he gets brought back from the dead in part 2. Because he has this tomb, and it connects to the sky, somehow. and, and it's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's like, this is really taking away from what could have been a really good story. And so I think that this movie is primed for remaking. I think that this is a movie that should be remade. And, you can always look back at Vincent Price in this movie and say he did a great job at the last 20 minutes. But the rest of the movie is a total bore. And I would say the last 20 minutes was really good. The last 20 minutes was kind of like Saw. Because Dr. Phibes was like Jigsaw, and then his assistant was like that girl in the Saw series who survives and then becomes his assistant. I can't remember her name, but she's his assistant in part 3. And it's like the doctor, the last doctor, he's like going through a jigsaw trap. And I thought that was a really cool sequence. So what do you have to say, Safi?
Okay, well.
Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of like the music because one of the pieces I graduated to it. I also played that. We played that piece, and I don't know what the name of it is, but we played it in orchestra. I mean, I also played it for other people's graduations. It's very famous for being a graduation march. But every time he did a kill, for the most part, he played his organ. And I guess my question was, I wasn't even thinking about building all the set pieces for the whole place. I mean, this is a whole setup. I mean, everything, and it took a lot of effort. I know that girl couldn't have done that. Also,
the girl's another issue we'll talk about.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to talk about her. But anyway, he was burned in a fire so badly he lost his face. How could his face be the only thing that burned in the fire? I mean, that's another question. So it's just, this is a problem when you intellectually look at a movie. In other words, you kind of pick it apart for all the technical pieces. Like, I'm not really into that, but there's just some things are so obvious that you can't help but question them. And another thing I didn't care for, but I did like the music, but I thought they were heavy-handed on it. I thought he did too much. It was like that syrup or whatever they put on the woman's face. It was so thick and heavy. It was like stuffing a bag full of candy bars into your mouth at once and trying to eat them. That's what it was like. And that's not good. And the thing about the girl, who was she, really? Her name was Volnavia. So what? Who has a name like that? And then I thought, at first, like I said, I thought she was the daughter. And then when Marco and I were talking about it, he was thinking of the Stepford Wives or something because maybe she was a robot. And I didn't even think about that because he had these robotic musicians. They didn't really play the instruments. It was like a Disney display. You go to Disneyland, you see these displays. I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures of the displays. And Shrek, the first Shrek, and they go to that place, and there's these figures, and they're singing these figures. They're singing a song, and then they stop, and then there's one in Willy Wonka, where they have the figures, and then they catch on fire. That's what that reminded me of. Those things. So anyway,
let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not. It doesn't matter. It just anyway. Who is she? Where does she come from? And why is she so important to him? And how did she get connected up with him? That's why I thought she was his daughter.
I read that originally she was supposed to be a robot, which again would beg the question of how the hell is he able to create these advanced human artificial intelligence robots that look exactly like humans and are just, I mean, that's just ridiculous. And so it was a smart thing to change it back into just a regular woman. But she has no character, and it's too bad because she does a good job and and whatever. And even the actress I looked up, she complained about how she didn't have any lines. So.
And then, like we said, the first 2/3 of the movie was all about the kills. I mean, one right after the other, all carefully done. They show them in the background. After it's done, they dance around and they'll play some music and their portable recorder thing, and it's weird. But not they don't do that very long. But I mean, it's like a routine. It's a ritual that they do after
it's
every
very
kill.
irritating.
And then you get to the end of the movie, let's say the last third, and that's where I said it's tense, very tense and exciting.
Gets
He
good.
talks a lot, which was good because he does. I didn't even think about this. He does have an iconic voice. If you hear his voice, you know who exactly he is. I mean, people watched that video, Michael Jackson Halloween uh, zombie-like video where the dancing was amazing, but he narrates at the end the story, and he just has the best voice in the whole world. He could have worked. He probably did do it until he died. He used his voice in projects like that. You didn't even have to see his face. He just would do his voice. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and give my review.
Okay.
My assessment of the movie is that it's lacking. When I just say it's lacking, like in a general sense, I just think it, like we said, the last third of the movie was real exciting and tense, but the first 2/3 it lacked a punch, and I don't know how to further explain that.
It lacked excitement.
Well,
It was like that sequence in House of Wax where he's roaming around London, killing random people or killing people. That's what it was like.
Yeah. Well, so when I so like he so it was lacking, okay, and then so my food review, because it was a movie, so we're giving it a food review because that's what our channel does compared to other channels. Is I gave it a spaghetti sauce, and I'll explain why I do that because or spaghetti. When I make spaghetti, I start off early in the day, and
You're rating Dr. Phibes
would you listen to me,
No, there's no reason.
Robert, Marco?
Safi.
So anyway, what I do is I put it all together, and that includes the spices, which are oregano, basil, parsley, fennel seeds, and I said oregano. Oh, bay leaves. Okay, and so it can cook. It cooks in a crock pot all day long until the evening because we eat kind of late compared to other people. And I'll compare it to, let's say I made that spaghetti sauce and I didn't put the spices in until the last 20 minutes or whatever. It wouldn't taste the same because the spices would need to be in the sauce cooking all day. So that's what I would compare it to. And so that's it. So go ahead, Marco.
I just think that's ridiculous.
Well, Marco loves the spaghetti. He ate it for 3 nights in a row, and
well, spaghetti's my favorite food.
yeah, that's a spaghetti. But I'm just saying what it would be like if you just threw the spices in for the last 20 minutes. It just isn't right. It wouldn't taste the same.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
It might even taste bad.
Well,
I'm not sure, but I don't think it would taste good.
You could have just rated it like a cheap pizza place spaghetti. Like you could have said like, oh, you know how you go to pizza places and you get spaghetti there, and it's really cheap and bad, and it doesn't taste as good as the spaghetti when I make it. Like that's what you could have said.
Well, Vincent Price is like you said. He's a very iconic. His voice especially is very iconic and important. I never even thought about that really. I just think of him as a total person. I don't think of him as a voice. It's not like that actor. Well, it's the same really. Sam Elliott, the guy who plays in a lot of cowboy movies and commercials. He's done for like big trucks, and you just hear his voice. He can talk forever until his deathbed with just his voice. He doesn't even have to be in anything.
Yeah.
And it's like that. He's like that. So my spaghetti dish, which Marco and everybody else seems to like a lot, um, that's that's why I gave him the spaghetti thing. But I changed it up about with the spices, and that's true. I could have just said we have these gross, and I don't like to say it, but I don't like them, and they're not the same. But those bottled spaghetti sauces, it's so easy to make it, so simple. There's no excuse. And probably the money that you would spend to make it probably isn't much more, except you're adding meat, of course. We're adding beef and two kinds of Italian sausage, one plain or sweet, and one very spicy. That goes in it too. And that's not in a bottled spaghetti sauce. So, but anyway, I could have done that. But since he has an iconic voice, he's a very established actor. Everybody knows, I think everybody knows who he is, pretty much. I gave him my regular spaghetti. So go ahead.
Well, I went another way because I just thought that it was way too basic to give it any sort of spaghetti like that, regardless of like any special things that you could say about it. I gave this movie, first off, well, I already said that I liked the last 20 minutes of this movie more than the rest of the movie. I thought that the last 20 minutes was really good. The rest of the movie was kind of poor and boring, and I wouldn't really think about watching it again because it's not worth it to watch it and to be bored like that and like pretend that I like it just to be nice, like, oh yeah, I like that. That's Vincent Price's best movie. Like, and so anyway, I give the first two, well, I guess I would say 3/4 of this movie, the boring part, I would give it a bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
With processed cheese, a slice of processed cheese, and mayonnaise maybe, and that's it, because it was just very basic and trash, and yeah, pretty embarrassing. And then I would give the last 20 minutes of this movie, oh god,
Whoops.
I would give the last 20 minutes of this movie probably a candy bar, probably like a crunch candy bar, because I thought that it was a little nuts. Did you get that, Safi?
Yeah.
And I would give it a crunch candy bar, and that's it. But I also have to wonder, spoiler alert, oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, never.
The spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I would say Volnavia. At the end of the movie, she gets acid poured all over her face, and it begs the question of why she would still be loyal to Dr. Phibes after this happens, because I mean, it'll permanently disfigure her face, right, Safi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Well, I thought she was dead.
It was calculated. It was calculated too. I read originally in the script he was abusive towards her, and he kills her himself at the end. And so the fact that that it almost seemed calculated, the fact that she was in the exact spot where the acid would pour down at the exact moment, and I thought, he did that on purpose to kill her, or to severely injure her. So I would have to wonder about that, why she is still loyal to him. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, well, our next and last final Vincent Price movie will be Dr. Phibes Rises Again, and that was produced actually the following year, 1972.
Really?
And as I said a few weeks ago, because we just have so much going on, I got a Vincent Price cookbook. He and his wife put it together, and I thought we would make a recipe from it and make a little separate video on it. I don't know how it's going to work, but anyway, just for something different, because it's very meticulous, like he seemed to be, and it seemed like it was very well researched, because there's a lot of historical things about the food, which was interesting, because it's American food all throughout, and different eras in America, and I thought it'd be interesting to do that. So everybody, bye, and we'll see you soon, and please like and subscribe, and also make any comments that you want to. Everything is welcomed except weird, stupid, hateful things.
No, you can say that stuff too. We don't care. We're not gonna censor you.
No, we're not gonna. No, we're not gonna censor you, except if you said something really.
No, we won't censor you.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, Safi.
You never know. But anyway.
No, I know.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.